Why, hello there, and welcome to the Gallant Goblins Kobold Plush Kickstarter live stream. I've got my little plushies here to keep me company through this. Oh my gosh, it has been such a journey to get to today. First of all, let me know if I'm actually broadcasting correctly and you can hear me, because it's been a hot minute since I've been on Twitch, and I'm not entirely sure I remember what I'm doing. So if you can hear me, I see Vanessa there was in chat a little bit ago. Hey, Vanessa. Anybody else? Yeah, we can hear you. Hey there, Xena Brand. Awesome. Yeah, I used to come on Twitch every now and again and play some video games with you all and everything else. And it's just, life has caught up with me. And finding the time to sit down and actually just chill out and play a game and get on here and chat with you all has been a luxury that I just haven't put back into my life again. So I need to kind of get that going again. Hey there, Raven. But yeah, today we are going to be launching our Kickstarter here in about half an hour. I am terrified. This has been a project that we've been working on for more than a year. You've probably seen our red kobold here, Rory, been sitting beside me at the review table for at least a year when we finally got him into production. We went through a couple different iterations. The first one was not so great, and then we got a smaller version of him, and we finally ended up with this version that we absolutely love. And then we got the other ones made, and these have only been with us for, I don't know, like a couple of months now. And there's only one of each of these that are currently in existence. So that's why if you're looking at us on Twitter and you see folks like Vanessa and folks around with these, with Rory, you don't necessarily see all these other ones because we only have one of them. And so I've been running around taking pictures of them, absolutely terrified that, one of the cats is going to use it as a litter box, or that I'm going to be outside trying to film some glamour shots and it's going to rain on them. And so these have been guarding with my life since we've gotten them. He's got a little crossbow on his back, which I love. You take the little crossbow off. You can go over here and put it in his hand. And we've gone through some iterations of these too. Let me grab one of the other ones down here. This is one of the ones that we do have two of, actually, because we decided that there wasn't enough special about Flick here when we first got him. And so we wanted to do a little extra stuff with him. So we gave him this little gator that he can take up over his mouth here when he's out exploring the wilds and doesn't necessarily want to breathe in the poisonous fumes of the swamp. And we gave him this nice, like, faux fur cloak, which I like, but it does hide his cool little quiver on his back. There you go. A little quiver can hold these arrows. One thing I didn't realize until yesterday when I was filming him is that these little arrows that we have, you can actually just kind of slot it in there, and it kind of looks like he's ready to shoot his little bow. So that's awesome. Let me look at chat here. Hey, everybody. Thank you for liking the background behind me. It's been a work in progress. I still need to get more lights back there to make it look a little fancier, but I'm working on it. I'm not a professional streamer, so this is not something that I have all the kinks worked out of yet, but I'm working on it. Neko, thank you for sitting on the Kickstarter page. We should be launching it soon. As you can see over in the upper left-hand corner, we have $0 pledge because it's not quite live just yet, but we'll be hitting that big red button here in, oh my God, 25 minutes. Oh, I'm so nervous. But good, yeah. And so this was, Flick here did go through an iteration. We added a little bit more to his little outfit. So, all right, but what we're going to do to get started here, let me give you a preview of what we're going to do today, and then we'll jump right into it. I'm going to start off by doing a little unboxing of the Absalom box from Beetle and Grimm's, the gold edition of their Absalom City of Lost Omens box, which I've been excitedly sitting on since we got it a couple of weeks ago, and been wanting to go through it and haven't had the opportunity. I did get to go up to GaryCon in Wisconsin about two and a half weeks ago, and I got to chat with Matthew Lillard and Paul Shapiro up there and kind of show them our plushies and talk to them about some of the projects they've been working on, and had a nice little chat there. So I'm trying to get caught up on their boxes. I also have, sitting down here, the Taldore Reborn box that I also need to do an unboxing or review of. The thing with the Beatles and Grimm boxes is that they take a long time for us to review because, we try to do very thorough, edited reviews, and so for every minute of screen time that you see in one of our videos, it takes about an hour of work for us to put it together, thereabouts, is what we kind of figured. That's just for editing on Grady's part. For me, when it comes to, you know, scripting and doing all the B footage. That takes a long time too. So these Bill and Grimm videos take a good bit of time, but I'm trying to catch up with them. Hey, Rage Cage. It's good to see you too. I appreciate you joining in and saying hi for the stream. We're going to be here for a few hours. We're going to start with this unboxing, and then we're going to launch a Kickstarter here in about 20-25 minutes. And then after that, I'm going to be joined by the owner and manager and one of the lead performers of Comedy Sports Houston, Mr. Benji Cooksey, who has been on some of our live streams, is going to be on our Alchemy live stream game that we have coming up later this summer. And he's going to talk to us about how to put together NPCs on the fly. If you're a game master and your characters want to talk to the nearest guard or bartender, you know, how can you make that character somebody exciting, somebody engaging that they will remember? And make those NPCs just feel different from one another. That can often make or break a game. And so we're going to talk to Benji about some tips on that. And then Vanessa Hoskins will be joining us to talk more about Alchemy. I signed my NDA today to hopefully get my hands on the adventure pretty soon. I don't have it yet, so I don't have any insider info. So I'm going to come at this having only really read the player's guide, which came out a week or two ago. But I want to get that info. Oh, hey Joseph, thank you for liking the video here. Let me know if those alert sounds are overly loud too. That's been one thing that I've noticed on Twitch, is that you get these little alerts, like somebody subscribed on YouTube or on Twitch, and then it blows your ears out because it's so loud. I think I went in there and changed that volume setting, but I'm not entirely sure. So after that, yeah, we'll be talking to Vanessa. Talking about that. Oh, it's Grady in chat too. Hopefully you're somewhere. Grady is downstairs doing all the little fine... Oh, thank you, Vanessa. But yeah, Grady's downstairs putting together the last minute touches on the Kickstarter. We just got a little preview image from some of our... Oh, hey, Roll for Combat. Oh, that's one thing I haven't mentioned yet. As soon as we're done with the stream here, I'm going to be jumping over to the Roll for Combat live podcast with our good buddies over there, and we're going to be talking about minis. I know a lot of folks who watch The Gallant Goblin who started with us over there almost 4 years ago now, I think. You know, it's mini lovers, and that's our bread and butter. And so we're going to talk about minis and our D&D and Pathfinder games, why we love them, why we collect them. I've been talking to the folks over at minisgallery.com about that, so we have a lot to talk about there. Thank you. Oh, there at Gadfly Cafe. It is so good to see you too. Oh, all my good buddies are here, Leonardo. It's so nice to see all of y'all again. So yeah, thank you for joining us. I'm so excited, so nervous. Having y'all here makes me feel a little bit better because, yeah, we spent so much time and effort and money getting these little kobolds put together. And so how well this Kickstarter does is going to kind of, you know, determine the future of the Gallant Goblin, I think, and what we're able to do as far as, you know, continuing the YouTube channel, plus putting out, you know, supplements like, you know, we've had quite a few with Queer Finder and the Gray Merchant and things like that. And so how much time and money we can put into that, or if I need to go back and get back into my regular career and stop doing this full time if the Kickstarter doesn't do well. So we have our fingers crossed that things will go well. And the thing with Kickstarters is that their success is often determined by those first 48 hours. And so we're hitting the ground running, hopefully going to get a good start on this. And, you know, it's our first time doing a Kickstarter, so I have no idea what to expect. And so it's going to be exciting to sit and watch, and you can watch it with me as the numbers change, hopefully. Hopefully this doesn't sit at 0 for too long. So we shall see. Hey, there's Grady in the chats. Yeah, Grady's down there putting this stuff together. So yeah, we've only got about, you know, a little bit of time here to start going through some of these Absalom Beetle and Grimm's boxes, so I thought we'd go ahead and get started on that. The one thing I'm going to warn you about, though, is for whatever reason, our neighborhood here has been having power fluctuations and power surges, and folks have been complaining about flickering lights and the fuses being blown in their house. And I went downstairs like a day and a half ago, and there were 5 blown fuses in the fuse blocks, or like tripped fuses. I don't know this stuff. I'm a psychologist and a D&D player. I don't know the terms. But if we do flicker or go off or whatever, we'll come right back on again, so just sit tight. There's no storms or anything in the area. It's just kind of a cloudy day here in Houston, Texas. So stay tuned with us if we do get knocked out for whatever power fluctuation issue. Thank you, Centerpoint Energy. Not a sponsor of us, obviously. But here is the first box put together by our friends at Beetle and Grimm's for Pathfinder. And we're not starting with an adventure path. We're starting with the Absalom City of Lost Omens book, which is a very interesting choice because this is a primarily a setting book. There, certainly a ton of adventure hooks, but there's no real adventures in here. There's not even a ton of like player options in this one. This is almost one of the most pure setting books that they have. So yeah, and this is our little table of contents, which they put together for us, and we'll refer to this as we go through here as we're trying to figure out what every little thing is. Because I haven't played an adventure in Absalom myself yet. We certainly played a little bit on the Starstone Isle and Otari, but I haven't had characters set foot in Absalom too much. So I'm not super familiar with it yet, but we'll see what we got. First of all, we're starting with some of their nice hardware. And so we have this nice little Beelengrim's little sack. And inside, what I'm excited about, this is their, I think they call them completion coins. And I didn't know that they had started doing this until I saw them up in Wisconsin at GaryCon. And so what they're selling now are these little coins that you can buy. Oh, thank you for following us there, Riot63. You can get these little completion coins for your players when you finish campaigns. And it's a little memento of the campaign and the story y'all told together. And so they're included in this one. Their little Absalom city coin there with the City Watch logo on the back and the Absalom motto, and then your completion coin there in the front with the year. Of course, the year the coin was made and these things, so not necessarily the year you finished the adventure. But yeah, if you're playing, I think like Curse of Strahd, all the D&D campaigns, you can go on their website and pick up these coins without having to buy the full boxes, and you can give them out to your players when you finish up your campaigns. Let's see if I can catch up on chat. Matt is asking, when does it launch? If you're talking about the Kickstarter, it launches at noon Eastern time, which is in about 17 minutes. So stay tuned for that. Oh, the other thing you can pick up on the Kickstarter is our little Gauntlet. We have our own little challenge coin. This is our inspiration / hero point token, depending on what game you're playing. These are chonky things. So one thing I learned when I was traveling up to Wisconsin for GaryCon is that if you are traveling with our little coin, don't necessarily keep it in your carry-on luggage when you go to the airport because they think it's a ninja throwing star. And then you have a lot of questions to answer. And apparently having the picture, it's not focusing super well there. And once they saw that there was a little goblin on it, they decided to let me through. It's kind of blunted, but you could do some damage with these if you wanted to. But yeah, that's just a pro tip from me to you. Let's see what else we got in this Absalom box. We've got a lot to go through here. We have a nice City Watch badge. There was an Absalom City of Lost Omens Pathfinder WizKids, Pathfinder Battles WizKids set that featured a lot of City Watch agents. If you're playing Agents of Edgewatch, the adventure path from Pathfinder, you might want a couple of these even because you're all playing City Watch agents. So that's a really nice little badge that you can have to give your players. We've got this little coin from the Magical Institute. It's not a coin, it's another pen. From the Magical Institute there in Absalom. I think it's called the Arcanamirium, something along those lines. And so you've got a little pen there if one of your... a lot of these, I think, some of this hardware might show up in some of the little adventures that they wrote for this box. Because the Beelengrim's folks like to give us extra encounters and adventures, and they've been really fleshing those out in the last couple of boxes. So I'm not 100% sure what they've included in this one, and maybe some of these coins and badges become relevant too in those. But if you have somebody who attended that university, you can give them this. We also have a nice Aspis Consortium coin here. I think it's just a coin. I need to look at the little table of contents to hear what it is. But I think that's super cool. And just checking up there. Yeah, some people throwing up some questions in chat that y'all can discuss there. Let's see. Yeah, Beelengrim's is awesome about their Pathfinder Character Chronicles. I love their Character Chronicles so much. We did a video of those, showing those off. They're gorgeous books that everybody's hoping that they'll do for D&D as well. I think doing those sort of things for D&D requires a little bit, some long conversations with their licensing department over there at Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro about putting together extra books for that. But those are beautiful Pathfinder books. If you are playing a Pathfinder campaign and you want to tell the story of your character, you can have your really extended character sheet and your journal and all the rules elements that you really need for your character when you're leveling up, when you're buying gear, when you're selecting spells. All in one place, and it's a gorgeous hardcover book. Here we have some Absalom rumor cards. Whole big stack of them. So if you are wanting to have tell some stories in your Absalom game, you can pull these out. And oh, and they all have different fonts. So these are story hooks for the most part. You can kind of see that they all look a little bit different. Some are vertical, some are portrait. Oh, Travis, thank you for liking the video today. And so let's just read a couple here, shall we? See what we have for some Absalom rumors. So first one we got here. The Matringer Sanatorium isn't actually home for the mentally unwell, nor is it dedicated only to the study of the mind. In secret labs, terrible experiments on both people and beasts have been and continue to be conducted. The depths of the sanitarium hold dozens of cages filled with the mutated or hybrid result of these experiments. As long as these creatures remain there, they are a tremendous danger, not only to Westgate, but to all of Absalom. So there's a lot of things you could do with these. If you want to have your characters hanging out in a tavern, and you could just draw some of these cards at random and make up your stories as you go along. Maybe this rumor isn't 100% accurate, but maybe there's a seed of truth in there that your players can go explore. And it's a fun way to just tell some stories on the fly. When you're running adventures, you don't necessarily have to have everything planned out the way I like to do. I'm one of the people who likes everything planned out from beginning to end. And I can improvise on the fly as long as I know my setting well, but I like to have that plan. But there's a lot of people who are able to, ooh, it went out of focus there for a second, who like to, just live on this, sit on the, what is the word I'm looking for? Fly by the edge of their pants. That's not right, the seat of their pants. There's some expression there. I haven't had enough coffee this morning. Here's my full cup of coffee. But just to tell the story as I go, which I think is lovely. So that's one reason there's another game out there called Blades in the Dark, which really is a lot of storytelling and TTRPGs on the fly. There's only so much you can prepare for those sessions when you're playing Blades in the Dark. And I think that's a really challenging and fun way to play a TTRPG. It's a lot less prep for the DM if you don't necessarily have to have the whole story planned out ahead of time and you make it up as you go. But you got to be quick thinking to pull it off. All right, let's read one more of these. Let's see, which one do I want? Here's another Westgate one. Before his disappearance, Lord Gear was tried in the Westgate courthouse for the numerous secret crimes he committed during his rule. Because of the terrible sentence he received, his ghost not only haunts the courthouse, but has become the leader of all the spirits trapped there. Eventually, he will lead his ghostly army to reclaim his place as ruler of Absalom. So, yeah. Thank you, Leonardo. Yeah. So, you can definitely have a lot of fun and tell really full adventures with these little cards as your inspiration. All right, I'm going to put these back over here. We're going to have to hustle along. We're going to launch the Kickstarter, and then we're going to come back and finish up our unboxing here, because we won't be joined by Benji until around 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern. We're in the Central time zone here, so I'm having to switch time zones up in my head. Yeah, Gadfly Cafe mentions the flashback mechanic of Blades. That's one thing that I've been trying to do in some of my games. So when you get inspiration tokens in your D&D games, or you get hero point tokens in my Pathfinder games, one thing that I am trying to incorporate is that you can trade these coins in. It's not necessarily just for a reroll or to roll with advantage, but if there's a cool story moment where you would like to show a flashback to your character, what they did maybe earlier in the day or earlier in the week, to set up a really cool story moment in the game right now. You arrive at a guardhouse and you're needing to kind of infiltrate ahead of time, and you didn't know this. Maybe your characters knew a little bit about it, but you didn't think about it till you got there and the moment presented itself. You can do a flashback to all the preparation you did to infiltrate this guardhouse. Maybe you went to a bar and you I don't know, maybe you seduced one of the guard members and you managed to steal their clothes. Maybe you posed yourself as someone who was the laundromat operator next door to the guardhouse, and you do all their laundry and you managed to sneak away some of their uniforms to use to infiltrate the guardhouse the next day. You can have these little flashbacks to set up those story moments to kind of get yourself out of jail, whatever predicament that your characters are in at that moment, and then you can also have this a cool story beat with it too. Moving back to our Absalom box, we also have a bunch of little Absalom coins here, all different kinds. And the copper one, they're little, so it's a little hard to show you. I think that's bronze and This is why we do our full videos where we don't have to worry about the camera necessarily focusing on everything. Silver, but these are gorgeous. You've got that. You got like the City Watch kind of eye logo on the back. I know there's not super easy to see here, but yeah, you've got all different kinds of denominations here of these little coins. Really cute. I love that too. What is the best tribe in Magic the Gathering? I'm not even sure what tribe necessarily means in that context. I don't know the Magic the Gathering lore as well as Grady and some of our other friends do. We will probably do some more Magic the Gathering content though going forward because there's a lot more crossover now. We're even getting minis from some of the art that they made for the Magic the Gathering Forgotten Realms set last year. Like Lolth, which just released recently. At least on our channel. I think it's out to be picked up as well. And we have a bunch of NPC cards that we are familiar with from Beetle and Grimm sets. So, Absalom doesn't necessarily fill with a ton of monsters, but there's certainly a ton of NPCs. And so with these cards, you can put them over on top of your GM screen like that. And it has the picture on the front. Everybody sing. Thank you for following us there, my friend. And on the back, you have the information about that character. You've got their little tags. He's a lawful evil male human assassin who's a level 16 character. And you have a little bit of role-playing information, so you'll know exactly what to do when this character shows up in your adventures. And there's an absolute ton of these. Ooh, that one's kind of creepy. She's you can see her there. She's an actual ghoul. Mother Jackal, a chaotic evil female Ling ghoul. Let's read this one. By nature, laid back and lazy, this ancient Ling ghoul sorceress has refined her existence to a pinnacle of macabre luxury. She shops at the Grand Bazaar, attends public lectures in the Arcanumarium and White Grotto, visits exhibitions at the Blockroast Museum, and plays cards every week with a group of cronies from other noble houses. Most know her only as Lady Mott of House Arcanum. A gaunt, grandmotherly woman, though her true form of Mother Jackal is that of a jackal-faced ghoul the size of a small elephant. So there she is. So yeah, you get an absolute ton of these NPC cards. I don't even know how many are here. It feels like more than we usually get in these sets. We usually get around 40. And so, some of them are just headshots here. A lot of this art probably comes from the Pathfinder book, and they can pull it out here. Because this is all based on the Pathfinder Absalom City of Lost Omens enormous setting guide that came out from Paizo earlier this year. I think it was earlier this year. It was aimed for late last year, but I think it didn't land until fairly recently. So yeah, those are awesome. But that's not all for the cards. That Loth Mini is crazy, says Gadfly Cafe. Yeah, I like that Loth Mini. I know that they've changed Loth's appearance from what she traditionally was as the Black Widow spider back in previous editions. So the Magic the Gathering artist, took some liberties, and when they did her design, she's more of a tarantula-inspired spider lady than she was a Black Widow. But I think she looks super cool. And here we have setting cards. So this is the first time they've really done this. The Pathfinder book is full of interesting buildings and settings. And we have the Absalom Lighthouse here, right, like that. And they're numbered. Oh, here's the Grand Lodge. Here we go. The Grand Lodge for the Pathfinder Society. And in the book, these are all numbered, and there's more than 200 of them. If you get the giant Pathfinder Absalom map, which we will show you in a minute, we have it sitting over here. Oh my god, it's 5 minutes till we launched a Kickstarter. I'm so nervous. If I keep talking, I don't have to think about it. But there's all these locations that show up on the map. They're all numbered in the city, and these are places that your players can visit. And on the back of here, you have all the information you need when they do go to visit it. You can see the quarter. There's all these quarters that are in Absalom. So this one's in the foreign quarter of the city. There it is. And you can kind of see all the other locations that are in that area. And this is location number 105. And so it's located kind of right there. Right there in the middle. And you get all the NPCs who are there. You get the page number of the book where they talk about this. You get all the tags. It's an academy, it's an archive, it's an employer, it's a garrison, it's a lodge, it's a monument, it's a parlor, and it's a workshop. and just all the information you need. And so it looks like there's another couple of dozen of these location cards that you can pull out when they show up at these places in Absalom. This is so cool. I really love this idea. I love it because, one, you can have this visual image to, just like our minis, just like our terrain, to just enhance the imagination of our friends when they play the game. Some of them are flipped over. But they also give us, as the game master, the information we need on the back there, so we don't necessarily have to have another tab open in our computer, another bookmark in the book. We can refer to our story, and we have the setting information just sitting on the game master screen right in front of us where we need it. So just absolutely gorgeous art too. The Palace Ormuz, the Silken Court. You know, some of them are not as shiny locations. This is Bone Glutton Pit. And ooh, what do we have here? This is Golgamod. It's a 60-foot tall golem. Very cool stuff. So, we have Grady just come up the stairs because we are... Grady, do you want to come over here and say hi? No. Come and say hello. There he is. So, he's going to be sitting over here. We're about to hit the launch button on our Kickstarter. Oh boy, I'm going to drink a little bit more of my slightly spiked coffee here.
It's too early in the morning for that.
It's not too early in the morning when you are, for a little Irish coffee, when you are nervous as all get out about your Kickstarter launching.
It is afternoon in Ireland.
You're probably a little bit echoey since you're further away from the microphone.
No. Sorry.
But,
I'm still trying to...
Yeah, so we're about 2 minutes away here. I'm not sure over here on the side of my screen here. You can kind of see... Oop, you okay there? You can kind of see, you know, the Kickstarter information. Now, when we actually launch the campaign, the way Twitch is set up, you know, my Streamlabs, it may get a little wonky. That might shift. I might have to fix it. So we'll see how that goes. Vanessa says hello as well. To you, Grady.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hopefully you could hear that. But who's going to be our first #1 backer of our very first Kickstarter? I hope that's information. I assume that's information that we get to see on the back end. We've never launched a Kickstarter before, so I don't know exactly how it works. But we'll be able to see who our #1 backer was. We'll get to see who was the first person to leave a comment. Exciting stuff. Leonardo says it's 11:58 here in the Philippines. Ooh, you're staying up late there. Oh, is that the big green button?
Yep, big green.
Big, oh, I'm ready to
I don't
go.
know if there's another page after that, because I've been too scared to click it, so I don't, like...
We need a countdown of some sort here. But my watch here doesn't give me seconds. It just gives me minutes.
Uh-oh, Tilly's coming.
Update posted by Adventures in Academia First Class from Hit Point Press. All right. So if you want to go...
Steamforce Games, isn't it?
Oh, Steamforce Games, that's right. Yeah, the link to the Kickstarter we'll post here in the Twitch chat in a second. You can also go to koboldplush.com, but that'll take you to our backer kit page, I think.
It's been changed.
It will now redirect you. So you can go to koboldplush.com if you want to be one of our very first backers when we launch here. koboldplush.com, you can type that in. It's right. Oh, it's right there above me. And that should take you to the page. And so...
It is
all right,
11.
it's 11. So let's just do a 5-second countdown. Are you ready? You're looking at all the fine print there?
That's
Okay.
a lot of...
Tell me when you're ready for the countdown.
I think I'm ready.
Okay, we're about to go. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch it. Let's see what happens. We click the button.
It says drum roll.
It's doing things.
Wait, what?
Is there a problem?
What?
We may have a slight glitch. We're checking things.
Why is it not happy with our rewards?
This is why you don't do things live on stream.
Wait,
Let's
what?
see. It looks like there is a slight error with one thing. We're checking that. You think it would be able to tell us these things before?
I checked it just yesterday.
It threw up a little error. It doesn't show any
All
error.
be good.
Is it live, actually? I think it might actually be live, Grady.
Oh, it is live. Okay.
Let's see. It says back this project. It says it's up.
Well,
Let's refresh the screen. I think
no, that's your preview.
Is it still just the preview?
Yeah, that's...
Oh, the preview is not live. Nope, it is not live. We'll figure this out, folks. Let's try and hit that button again.
Update the contents of your reward tiers and add-ons. What is it not like about them?
It's throwing up an error about our listed rewards, and so we're trying to figure out, but it's not telling us exactly what the error is.
Oh, okay.
Oh, what was it?
It's not. They added like a new requirement to flag whether your add-ons and rewards are physical goods, digital goods, or both. And I updated all the rewards, but I didn't update the add-on side, and it doesn't have an error about it on the add-on side. Oh my god!
So we gotta make sure we tell it if the add-ons are digital or physical. So we'll give Grady a second to do that, and then we'll try this countdown one more time. Let's see if we can. What else I can show you from here while we're doing that? Let me just pull this up. Oh, we'll pull this up. We have Tilly here. Tilly has to be by Grady at all times, and so when Grady runs up the stairs, she follows, and she just wants to come and find a way into his lap. So she is here. So while you're getting that ready, let's look at the Game Master screen here that we get for, here, we can kind of look at some of the art. It's a little dark to see, but we have this nice art on here featuring, I think, some of the iconic characters and maybe some of the new pre-generated characters that they've come up with for this little box here. Oh, Grady, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to try one more time. We'll get back to this. All right, we're going to try it again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's try it again. And button clicked. Looking left, looking right. You are live. We are live after a short delay. Let me refresh my screen and see if it's going to work here. Thank you, Grady. I'll let you go downstairs. I know you've got to... I think we're up and running. Grady has to go downstairs and generate a lot of links and post a lot of things. So let's see if this is actually going to start incrementing, hopefully as a few people back. Again, you can check out at koboldplush.com. I believe usually the Kickstarter page will tend to update itself as automatically without me having to hit the refresh button. But we shall see. Hopefully we'll start seeing those backer numbers. Oh, there we go. We've got our very first backer for one plushie there. Thank you for backing. And we got a new follower. Thank you so much. All right, so it has started. Oh boy, guys. My heart's racing. I'm super nervous. I can't believe that started now. Yeah, we're going to see how this goes. So basically, I should tell you a little bit. The link is Roll for Combat. About to say rollforcombat.com. The link is koboldplush.com. It should take you directly to our Kickstarter page. My friends over at Roll for Combat. Thank you, Raven. We're off to the races. So I'll give you a little preview if you don't want to go watch our Kickstarter video right now and kind of read through everything. Our funding goal is for $4,000. We have this original plushie here that you've seen everywhere. We already have a little production run of them. They are here in our house. That's why we've been able to send out some to some folks in the community. We took them to GaryCon and shared a few of them there. And so one little run of these is ready to go. And if we reach our funding goal of $4,000, we should be able to send these out into the world. If we reach our first stretch goal at $8,000, we're going to rejigger this little fella so that he has those removable parts that you can switch around to the other plushies. The first run when we made these didn't have that yet. It wasn't an idea that we had finalized. And so we're going to do a new run of our Red Kobold Wizard plushie here, Rory. And we're going to make it so you can take his little spell off. You can take his little wand off. You can take his little cape off. And you can switch him around to your other kobolds. And that's our first stretch goal at $8,000. Thank you, Matt, for backing. Thank you, Vanessa, for posting the link as well. I need to load up my little chat bot in here to throw some chat things in here. Yeah, Kobold Plush should also redirect you as well. And once we hit that $8,000 mark, every $8,000 after that will enable us to produce another plushie. And we have all these near final prototypes ready, and we're going to let you all vote on which ones you want to see enter the world. You know, do you want the orange one, the green one, you know, the blue one, the pink one, the bard? what do you guys want to see come into the world? We're going to let you guys vote. There's a breakdown of each little character there on the Kickstarter page, all the little gear that they come with that you can switch out. And these are already made to have the switchable gear. So you can go and we'll have, as we reach those funding goals, you can go and vote and decide what you want to see enter the world here. And so that's an exciting thing for us too. So we're off to the races. Looks like we have 10 backers at $466 so far. Oh boy, we'll hopefully see that number kind of go up over the course of our stream here. I mean, the dream is to reach our funding goal here while we're on our stream, so we can know that we've hit that goal. We know that we can at least make and send out our little red kobolds here and have that ready to go. And you know, who knows? Maybe somebody says the owlbear plushie is not going to be an add-on. The owlbear plushie is not ours. There's other companies that are doing owlbear plushies, so that one's not actually ours. We just have our kobold plushies. Maybe one day down the line we'll have some owlbear plushies. There is, sometimes you see on our channel, the Hit Point Press little owl mini, or owl plushie that we've been pushing for Humblewood. So that's another little plushie. You can pick that up over at humblewood.com. But no, we don't have an owlbear one. But let's see. You wish we had a color for chromatic or metallic colors. Well, I mean, these folks are the chromatics, right? You have, you know, green and red and green, red and pink and all those. Those are kind of chromatics. We need to look into, we do have some preliminary designs for some metallic ones. We have like a gold colored paladin that we have some art for, but I need to check with our manufacturer to see if, you know, gold fur and silver fur is something that they would be able to do that is still nice and soft and squishable, but that has that kind of metallic sheen to it. Because we don't want it just to be another version of orange and yellow. So we're going to have to investigate. I think I dropped in his arrow. Yeah, a little arrow here. We're going to have to investigate doing metallics, but that would be exciting. Ooh, we are already a quarter of our way to our first funding goal. So thank you all very much. I love you all. Our little ranger here, Flick, has these little arrows. So all of them are going to have, once we reach the appropriate funding goal, they have a little bit of Velcro on each of their little hands here. So you can, you know, take their little things off and switch them around to different hands as you like and fit them in there so you can kind of make them hold and make them whatever class you want them to be. If you want him to have a sword and a shield, if you want to have a bow and arrow, a crossbow, a musical instrument, you can just configure him just the way you want to. And the Velcro is colored here to match, so it doesn't necessarily look out of place on here. So he's got a little arrow, he's got a little cape, a little gator. You can take this off as well. You can take his whole cape off if you want to, you know, you don't want him to have the cape. You know, we can take that off a Flick. We can go over here to Shep, our little rogue here, and we can just toss this little cape onto him instead. Maybe Flick is going to, or maybe Shep here is going off into Icewind Dale, and so we want him to have a nice little fur cloak that he can take with him on top of his little leather vest there. There he is. He's ready to go. Oh, and if we do unlock our little Shep here, he has his little pet hedgehog named Pickles that he has a little carrying case for. Where's my carrying case? Oh, whoop! I'm making a mess. He's got his little carrying case for. Ooh. Ah, I moved the keyboard. Let me fix that. There we go. Little carrying case for Pickles that you can fit Pickles into here. Or if you just want Pickles to be out and about, you can do that too. I think the Pickles little plushie is super cute. His little face. He's just a simple little thing, but I think he's super cute. I hope the dream is to be able to do more pets. Like, these little things cost a little bit more money to produce, but I would love to have different little pets that he can carry in his little carrying case. Like a little cat or a little dog or who knows what. Maybe a little wolf pup, maybe a little baby kobold or a little dragon. So there's Shep with his thing. So we're off to the races. We're about halfway to our funding goal, a little less than halfway. So hopefully we'll see that go up as we go along. Grady's going to go downstairs and, you know, send out some tweets, send out some Facebook posts. Hopefully our backer kit people are getting their emails now, and they might show up and leave some messages there. I'll have to check the Kickstarter comments. A baby bullet is a cute idea as well. There, put his little cape back. Oh, his little gator is underneath the cape now. See if I can go in there and fix that up a little bit. I'm really happy with the way these turned out. We worked really hard to make them fun to kind of dress up and make your own adventuring party, but also to make them just be cuddly. Like, some of my first earliest memories as a child was getting stuffed animals from my parents. I still have most of them down in my closet downstairs. I have this big old lion plushie named Thor that my father gave me when I was like 1. Absolutely ridiculous, and it's still downstairs. So there he is. Oh, we need to hurry along here because Benji's going to be joining us real shortly here. Oh man, time flies. All right, so let's put our plushies down. Let's go through some of this rest of this Absalom box so that we can talk to Benji here in a couple of minutes. So we were talking about, oh, we're halfway to our funding goal. Here's our DM screen. On the inside, we have the city map over here and a lot of the locations in the city. And over here we have a lot of our Pathfinder specific information for running Pathfinder campaigns. Let me look at it myself so I can tell you what it is. Oh yeah, we've got, on one side here, the DCs, the cover rules, size and reach, travel speed, climb distances, so all that basic information you need for running a Pathfinder 2nd Adventure campaign. But we've also got all the Absalom-specific information, the military of Absalom, the guilds and unions, the various factions, like the Aspis Consortium, the Court of the Black Paper, the Firebrands, the Vault of Abadar. We've got the noble houses of Absalom, city government, and then all the information about the various districts. We've got our whole city map there, and the political parties and the various temples and the coinage. There's little coins down there, so we had the little actual physical coins that we could hand out. So that is our GM screen. Awesome. And we've also got a little folder full of quarter maps. So these are the various quarters of the city. We've got the Puddles Descendant Court. I just ran an adventure in the Puddles. If you want to run a Pathfinder one-shot, just to introduce your players to Pathfinder or to Absalom, I really recommend one from the Pathfinder Society called the Flooded King's Court. I ran this for a group of 7 improv players here at the house about a week ago, or maybe exactly. No, it was about a week ago Saturday, and we had the best time running that. There are so many different kinds of encounters and things that you don't normally do in an RPG. It was so much fun. But on the back of these, you just have a blank place where you can put a lot of notes if you want to. But we have all of the little quarter maps with the numbers of... Oh, it's going to fall out of here. With the numbers of the locations that you can refer to in the book. I don't know if you can kind of see some of the numbers without the reflection of the ring light there. Yeah, you see those numbers there. Are the numbers of various buildings and locations that your players may visit. What else do we have in here? We have our in-world documents that you can hand out. Yes, Flooded King's Court is so much fun. Thank you, Vanessa. Let's open up, look at just a couple of these. Oh, they're going to fall out. My nightmare about doing these unboxings is that I'm going to misplace one little thing, and when we go to do our full video review, that I'm not going to be able to find everything, so I have to be really careful. Do you want to race? We've got like little advertisements you might find around town, a little invitation to a hidden dinner. We've got pamphlets. Become a citizen of the city of Absalom. You are cordially invited to the only event that matters. A little event card here from a noble family in town. The time is nigh. There's never been a better time to smash the yoke of oppression. So we've got that. Interesting story hook. The storytelling contest. That sounds right up our alley. Ooh, we have a very mysterious little note here, kind of written maybe in code with a little map. Let's see, we've got looks like a broadsheet, sort of. Yeah, it's like a little newspaper here. So we've got a whole newspaper full of story hooks and exciting setting information. Ooh, what is this? Oh, we've got a nice big kind of proclamation here. And we're going to go through these in fine detail when we make our full video here coming up soon. We're going to try to launch a lot of videos during the course of this Kickstarter, so stay tuned for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Uncouth Rabble. Got another like handwritten note here that you can give to your players. And inside here we have our pre-generated characters. So we are known for Beetle and Grimm's making these characters that we can hand out to our friends when they come over, so we don't necessarily have to spend the whole time, you know, rolling up characters, which can take a good bit of time, especially for Pathfinder, especially for new players. Creating characters is something that takes a while. There's a lot of things to choose between your ancestry and your feats and your class and everything else. There's just a lot more options than you have in D&D. And so having these characters pre-loaded and ready to go lets you hit the ground running. We actually did use the iconic characters that Pathfinder puts out. They have character sheets at, I think, 1st and 5th level, and some might be even higher. If you want to, you can go to the Paizo store and look up the iconic characters and just print those out. They have one for each of their primary classes and the character and the classes that were in the Advanced Player's Guide. And so that's what we used when we did our thing. But this one adds on Aster Devereaux, the human squire. Ooh, where's the class here? Oh, champion. And we have Mickey Splat, the gnome menagerie dung sweeper bard. We have Tesseral, the Pathfinder hopeful elf wizard. We have Ig, the goblin child of the puddles rogue. That's so great. Right up my alley. And oh, I'm dropping things. And I think that's the ones we have for this particular box. And it looks like maybe at the end here. Oh, 2 more things. Of course, you have the whole book. And as we know from Beetle and Grimm's, they take the book, they break it down into more easily digestible, easily transportable little booklets, so you don't have to carry that big, giant 300-some-odd page book around everywhere you go. So very cool there. You can have the little booklet with everything you need. And finally, we have our adventure module. And I've loved what they've done with these encounters from friends at Beetle and Grimm's. How much time do I have? Okay, I've got a little bit of time here. We're gonna have to go offline for about 5 minutes when we transition to Benji here, as I get the stream set up for that. I'm not super good at getting these things set up on the fly with Zoom and Streamlabs. We'll take a little break there so I can get Benji on the stream. But first of all, let's talk about these little encounters. Now, before, our friends at Beetle and Grimm's would have these fairly short, you know, nice encounters that would flesh out an NPC, would flesh out a location, but they weren't too involved. And more recently, we've gotten whole booklets with encounters and one-shots that are a little bit more connected, maybe tell a little bit more of an overall story together. And this one looks to be very similar. We've got 4 different encounters, 3 of them by John Ciccolini. I'm never going to pronounce his name right. Who is one of the staff writers there at Beetle and Grimm's, and one by Jessica Catalan. They are called Crimson Corruption, Putrid Prize, Fun and Games, and a Ghastly Siege. As you prepare to launch or continue your campaign in Absalom, we hope this set of short adventures inspires you in your quest to challenge and delight your players. As always, use what you like and ignore what you don't, although we certainly hope you mostly use Adventure On. So a lot of these will use maps that are included in the set. That's the one thing I haven't shown you yet. We have a whole heap load of maps over here that come with the set. This is just one. This is the Isle of Kortos, where Absalom is set. A nice textured paper map over here. And there's all sorts of battle maps and city maps that come in this big old tube of maps here. If you've gotten any sort of Beetle and Grimm's boxes before, you may have gotten one of these nice map tubes. And so I absolutely love it. So we will take a look at that, and these adventures will use those maps and may use some of the hardware pieces that come in the set too. So I'm very much looking forward to sitting down and reading these to see what they've done with their little adventures now that they get to play around in the Pathfinder universe. Oh boy, alright guys and gals, we are 10 minutes away from Benji joining the stream. We are 3/4 of our way to our funding goal. I'm trying to catch my breath. I haven't had time. part of running the stream, and it allows me not to sit here and just agonize and watch that counter over here go up. But it is sitting right next to me, so it's hard not to sit there and watch it. We have 33 backers. We are 3/4 of the way to our first funding goal. We're going to see how it goes for the rest of our session here as we're online. Let's see if I can catch up with a little bit of chat. Leonardo says he's really looking forward to the blue one. The blue one, Buckles, is one of my little favorites. This little sword is super cute. Buckles is a she. The little shield here attaches with a little loop there. You can kind of take it off and put it on the other plushies as you want. Has his little belt, her little belt that comes off with actually a little scabbard there on the side, if you can see. It's not a functional scabbard, unfortunately. You can't actually put the sword in there, but it's kind of a cute little attention to detail. Little booties. The little booties don't come off, but you can't wander into battle with just your bare feet unless you're a halfling. And but does have these little bracer armbands that do come off right there. We need to look and see if we can do booties that are removable. So we might check that before we run the full production of these to see if that's something that might be possible. Because, I don't know, having the like little switchable boots I think would be a lot of fun. Their little tail in the back. They're just so super sweet and soft. Let's see what else we got here. Leonardo, the card has been declined. Oh no, Leonardo. Hope they can get that sorted out. Soul Ninja 250 put in their pledge. Thank you so much. Let's see. Soul Ninja. Kind of wish the red and purple one has maybe similar faces, and kind of would like the purple one to be standing. Yeah, I kind of like that there is just a little bit of variation. You know, the purple one is the most unique one probably because it's in the little sitting pose. So a lot of the other ones sort of have this little standing pose. They all, they all have different eyes and eyebrows and noses and outfits, but the pose is not all that different. So I like that we have one that's a little bit different. So when you put them all in the row, they all stand out. So I hear what you're saying. I do kind of like that there's a little bit of different pose. I'm not sure if we can do any more different poses than these two. That's something else I want to look into to make them just look a little bit different. But yeah, I appreciate the feedback. Please do leave us some feedback over there in the Kickstarter comment section. I haven't had time to go look at it yet, but we're looking for your suggestions. If we hit all of our funding goals and we do, we get to produce all of these different plushies, we're going to look for other stretch goals we might be able to do, making more little accessory packs, maybe making additional plushies if it really blows up and does better than we expect. So, go there, leave us little comments on what you'd like to see, what kind of accessories, pets, weapons, outfits, everything that you want to see. Let's see what else we got. I'm about to do the thing, says Cam MCV. Thank you there. Tush says hello. Hello, Tush. Also like the feature, like the little booties on the blue one or the purple one's wreath. Yeah, I like the little attention to detail there. Her little laurel is very cute, I think, on Coda. I did the thing! I backed the Dragon Horde. Thank you, Cam MCV. I really appreciate you. The little Dragon's Horde, you get all of the plushies, and you get the coins and the pins. Oh, I didn't pull the pins up here. If you like pins, we have these awesome little pin sets. For each of the kobolds has their own little pin. I think they turned out really great. So I absolutely love that. Yeah. So thank you for being here for our little intro here. We did our little introduction to our Beetle and Grimm's Absalom box here. Thank you to the folks at Beetle and Grimm's for sending that to us to unbox with you. And we'll do the full review of that as soon as we possibly can. Along with the other ones, we have the Wild Beyond the Witchlight box, Platinum box. We have the Tal'Dorei Reborn box over here. I think we're still behind. We haven't done the Strahd box. We did an unboxing. We haven't done a full box review of that. So I am desperately trying to catch up on my Beetle and Grimm's coverage here. There's just been a lot of things lately. So we're going to try to get those to you ASAP. What I might do here is take a quick little couple of minute break. But, I'm out of focus. The camera does this every now and again. There you go. I swear your contact lens hasn't gone wonky in your face. Then we're going to come back here in just a minute or two, and we're going to talk to Mr. Benji Cooksey, who is an improv, a very good improv performer here in Houston and improv instructor. And we're going to talk to him. If you have questions for him about, coming up with characters on the fly, coming up with stories on the fly, things that you can use at your table as a player or a game master to just up your game when it comes to role playing. There's nothing better than talking to an improv star who does this for a living, short form and long form. I do hope I'll be able to sort it out ASAP, says Leonardo. Oh, Foehammer. Ah, it's good to see ya. Oh, Leonardo, yes, I hope you're able to sort it out too. All those bank issues are always annoying. But yeah, I'm going to go on a quick little break here and get the stream set up. But we should be back in about 5 minutes or so to talk to Benji. We are 3/4 of our way to our goal. Let's see what we can get in the next, over the next little while before we talk to Benji. So I'll come back in just a second. Y'all sit tight. Go get yourself something to drink. Go get yourself a snack. Go leave us a comment on the Kickstarter page. And I will come back and be with Benji here. So I'll see y'all in just a second. All right, we are back. Oh, you're pretty well in the street scene there. Benji, let's see if we can hear you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Looks like you're coming through loud and clear. Y'all can let us know in chat if you're able to hear us. Oh, actually, kind of mostly centered you on the little screen there. It's not perfect, but that's good enough for today. We're an amateur little Twitch stream over here. You know, we'll get all those little fine details worked out.
Yeah,
How's it going, Benji?
it's going fantastic. How are you doing?
Oh, doing fantastic. I'm hearing. Are those other voices on your end?
Yeah. It's sorry.
Uh,
We're having technical difficulties on all sides today.
that's all right. I was just making sure I wasn't hearing voices in my head like I do sometimes.
Not today. It wasn't like last time.
That's always fun when you're playing a game. But anyway, Benji, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do here in Houston and all the things you're involved in?
Absolutely, yeah. So I am involved with
Nope.
Comedy Sports, which is an improv comedy theater here in town, and we have been doing comedy, specifically short form comedy, which is very similar. If you've ever seen the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? We do that style of comedy where we get a lot of audience suggestions, and we use those suggestions to play scenes, games, that kind of thing.
Well, Benji,
And
let me interrupt you 1 second because everybody's saying you're very quiet. So
I'm very quiet.
let's
Okay.
see if we can do anything to up your. Yeah, you're a little quiet on my end too, but I kind of got it working. Let's see if I anything I can do here to boost. You might just have to yell. I can lower the speaker here.
I can
There we
also try
go.
and get a little bit closer.
And I think I can up it here in Zoom. All right. How's that, everybody? Can you hear Benji a little bit better now?
Can you hear me now?
Y'all can let us know if
Hopefully.
that.
Well, keep chatting at me, and I will do my best.
It looks like you're probably coming in a little bit louder now, according to my little sound profile here. Oh no, stream died, Vanessa said. Well, that's not good.
Whoops.
A little better
Okay.
yet, says Gabby. So, okay, we're good. I think we're good. Benji, let's
Uh,
start over. Why don't you
okay.
introduce us, tell us a little bit about Comedy Sports Houston and what you do in Houston.
Absolutely. So I run Comedy Sports here in town, and basically we're an improv comedy theater. The style of show we do is very similar to Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I'd say we've been in Houston now for 32 years. And basically we do short form improv comedy. And amongst other things, we teach classes, we do musical improv. But the base of our show is taking audience suggestion and essentially using those suggestions to play different scenes and games and stuff like that.
Let me ask you this. So, Comedy Sports Houston is sort of a franchise, right? You can find these across the country. Is that right?
It's not a franchise, no.
Uh,
We all do share licenses to basically have Comedy Sports. So, I mean, to really get into the nitty gritty of business, franchise would mean like we are a part of a larger thing and they own a part of it, et cetera, et cetera. It's not like that. My theater is my theater, but we license the rights to Comedy Sports.
Gotcha. Okay, okay. Because my question was going to be, there are improv studios around the country. Ooh, the little notification there was a little loud. Oh, it's behind us too, so you can't see it. But thank you to whoever that was Gabby who followed us. My question was, do most of these improv locations offer these kind of classes like you do here in Houston, or is that kind of your own special thing?
It varies. I'd say most improv theaters probably do offer classes, just because it's it's such a niche kind of art form that it's if people are doing it, usually one really effective and positive way to kind of interact with the community is to teach classes or hold jams as they're called. So like it's not necessarily always a class. Sometimes you've got a group of people who've been improvising for a while. So people just have invites where people will come in and just do shows basically for each other as opposed to like doing a paid show with tickets to an audience.
Gotcha. Because I've been taking the classes there with Connor, who they may have met when we all played the Candlekeep Deconstruction together not that long
Yeah.
ago. And the
Yeah.
classes have been really good for me being a game master and being a player in these games.
Yeah.
And what is your history with Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and all these games?
I am definitely of the group of people who were desperate for creativity during COVID. And while I had looked into Dungeons and Dragons and things before, and maybe even tried to play a little bit, but didn't really have much of an understanding of what was needed. During COVID, we started playing online with friends from all over the country. In fact, our game master was actually based out of Chicago at the time. And that game we started then is still going now, and is been life-changing, not just because of how necessary and thankful I was to have it during COVID, but just because it's really kind of changed everything about how I love to interact, and it just hits all of the right buttons, as you well know.
Have you worked as a game master much, or you've been mostly a player?
I have written my own campaign. I've done one homebrew, and that's the only one I really game master. But I'm these days I'm mostly trying to just become play all the different characters and really focus on just being involved from that standpoint.
So how do you use what the skills that you've picked up in improv when you're creating characters or playing characters as a player and as a game master in these games? What skills do you draw upon?
Well, I think, the main skill, if you're interested in how improv can impact um, kind of your role playing and especially game mastering, NPCs, I think, is something that probably stands out to a lot of people. It's like sometimes you've just got to like randomly in your mind generate an NPC. And so, like, depending on where you are, and your knowledge of the land, I'd say that my improv background has probably helped me the most there, both in like kind of helping with playing NPCs for other people, as well as playing in my own game that I game master, is being able to just kind of jump into a character and have that kind of vulnerability of giving something a shot and maybe, having to figure it out a little bit on the way, but having the confidence to jump into it full force. And that's, that's one of the first skills we really work on in improv is, going for it, not being afraid of fear. And if you're going to fail big and make it glorious, as opposed to trying to be ashamed about it.
Yes, I totally agree with that. The best thing you can do as a game master is to lose all sense of shame and just go for it and have fun. Because even if it's just ridiculous, it's going to be memorable and fun, right?
Of course. And I think, like if you're working with a group who's looking to have a successful campaign, part of that is entering into hopefully a spoken, but sometimes an unspoken contract that like we're all doing our best and sometimes we're going to give things a shot. And it may not always work out, but sometimes when it doesn't work out or something doesn't go quite as planned, that is also when a lot of where the fun, the funny, and the magic is born.
So if we've got game masters out there who have been reluctant to do funny voices or kind of create these fully fleshed NPCs, and they do more of the narration style, but they're interested in getting started in this, what other recommendations would you have for them who want to just get started in that?
Well, yeah, I think going, this is going to sound like a pitch to come to see my own show, which maybe it is. But I would say, going and seeing creative work, and I think seeing it live. And that's not to say we can't draw all the inspiration that we do from movies and television, books and stuff like that. Obviously, that world is vast and wonderful. But I think there is something about seeing how people engage creatively live that is both inspiring and is just one kind of your first or second step to like giving yourself that chance, whether it's going there and then signing up for a class, or whether it's going there, seeing something you liked, and looking how to get into it somewhere else. And then outside of that, I'd say really what a lot of people are kind of dancing around is taking an acting class, taking an improv class. I mean, there are specific live classes that are dedicated just to accent training. And here in Houston, I believe we've got a really over at University of Houston. One of their instructors, and his name slips my mind, is like one of the go-to accent coaches for a number of, I believe, American and European dialects.
You need to send me that information later because I desperately need that. That
Yeah.
was going to sort of be my next question is a lot of it is just coming up with a voice for the character. And I know when I'm kind of in the moment, like I will often kind of go back to the same voices over and over again, and it's hard for me to differentiate different characters. Do you have any advice on just kind of trying to make unique voices, not just make them on the fly, but then like remember them, maybe jot down what you need to know to pull that voice back out later on when they meet that character again in a couple of weeks?
Theo, you're so awesome. You're just so awesome. These are great questions. And I'd love to pretend like I'm an expert in all of this, but I'd say, I'll give you my tactic for that. And I'm not I'm not the best impressionist or with accents. I'm certainly going to give it a try, but I think I'm going to lean more into being goofy. Not at the expense of trying to be offensive, of course, but just I'll give something a shot. And I think for me, kind of building up that new accent that you're looking for takes a little bit of just like self practice. And there's a lot of like I've looked at YouTube videos. I I told my therapist this. I talk to myself a lot in the car, but a lot of that is just like practicing accents and stuff like that. And I'm a big mimic too. So like, especially if I'm listening to a podcast or something on my own when I'm driving, and in Houston, we obviously drive everywhere. The opportunity to just kind of use that time to like speak, try things out, and then go for it, I think has been is just a safe place to do it for yourself. And then from there, working with the other creatives to kind of have those back and forths, practice those dialogues. And again, it's the same thing like when you're looking at with your crew that you want to put a game together with. It's like find someone that you trust. And trust looks like being able to laugh with you, but also like not going to judge or make fun of you for something like that. And ideally someone who's looking to have the same goal so you can go back and forth. One of my good friends, Jason, he is an acting major who worked on he worked on a Russian accent, and he oftentimes like throws that out in terms of like playing different games and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that we like to practice a little bit. My Russian accent is absolutely terrible, but I do try.
Now, Vanessa Hoskins in the chat here, who we're going to be joined by in a second, just pointed out that you just admitted live that you're a mimic.
Oh, that's true.
Do you want to comment? Do you want to comment on that?
I'm a little worried for my own safety at this moment, but I'm gonna look. I'm asking for a lot of trust and vulnerability today. Hopefully, I'll be able to back my way out of this.
Speaking of Vanessa, Vanessa is the author of the first book of the Outlaws of Alkenstar Adventure Path, Punks in a Powder Keg, which is one of my favorite titles for anything ever. And she's going to join us in a second. And Benji, you're going to be a player in my Alkenstar game.
I cannot wait.
Do you want to tell us as a bit of a case study on how you're going about creating your character for this adventure?
Well, it kind of got put into place for me a little bit because we had that really fun time creating the mini for the character. So I knew what he looked like kind of before we actually knew much else of anything. And so
let me interrupt you 1 second. Benji, we just met our funding goal for our Kickstarter. We're at $4,004, which means that we are officially funded. Thank you all so much. Sorry to interrupt you, Benji. That means that our little red kobold is now coming into the world. Our first stretch goal is at $8,000, which will enable us to redesign him a little bit to have switchable little fire spells and the wand and the cape that it can all be switched around to the other plushies. So our next goal is to hit 8,000 and see if we can bring that into the world before we're into our stream today. So yay! And Benji, we made a video working with Hero Forge. We're partnering with Hero Forge on some of this, and we haven't released a video just yet, but we're putting it together to hopefully release soon. And tell us like a little bit about how you were able to. And like going through the steps of building this character, learning who this character was as you're putting the mini together.
Absolutely. Let me say first though, Theo, I'm just so happy for y'all. I'm happy for you and Grady. You both just bring so much passion to this whole realm. And I just feel so honored to have been invited in and getting to play. It's like I have been given an opportunity to be more of myself and have fun. And we don't always get those chances. And I just, I'm so happy for y'all. I'm so proud of y'all. And so this is a well-deserved moment. And it's obvious that so many other people see it too. And I hope you take that as a big win. And hopefully we still start working towards that stretch goal, bud.
Thank you, Benji. Yeah, meeting you, I think, was probably one of the best things that happened to me last year. And I have a feeling that you're going to be a part of my life for forever. And I think we're going to do some really cool things together. and I'm really looking forward to. I just see all the possibilities of things that we can do with you and your crew. You have such an amazing and huge crew of friends and performers that you've put together, and you recently launched your first EP. I think the correct term is correct.
Yeah,
EP.
you know,
I don't know
EP
music well.
album, mini album, the first part of an album, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, and that we had a blast. That was that was a surprisingly successful party and time, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that probably there's so many improvisers and tabletop players in the room that everybody just ended up having a good time.
Oh, that's one of the best parties I've been to. I mean, since COVID hit, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just seeing all the love for you in that room too. You and your sister got on stage and did a song. It was a karaoke party. Met
Yeah.
so many great performers and improv people, people who are interested in coming on and being part of our like, Gallant Goblin family and doing some
Yeah,
games with
it
us.
wound up being a little bit of a Gallant Goblin meet and greet and come play, which I think is awesome.
Tell us before you talk more about your Alcazar character. Where can people find your EP?
You know, anywhere music's being streamed, pretty much Spotify, Apple Music. You know, it's on YouTube. I'm hoping to maybe shoot a music video next year for one of the songs. And yeah, I mean, again, pretty much you can buy it on iTunes. If you're spending money today, spend it on on the Kobolds. But you know, if you find an extra, like I think it's like $2 because it's only 2 songs right now. I do have my music. It's Benji Cooksey. The name of the album is called Safe Space Karaoke, which is a real fun kind of thing we did during COVID again. So yeah.
Oh, there's some jams on that too. Like, oh, this is so good. Definitely go check that out. Safe Space Karaoke, anywhere you listen to your music.
Yeah, right. I should probably find. I think maybe I can finally actually give you an Instagram handle that's not just my comedy sports one anymore.
Oh yeah, we have the Twitter account down there under your name there for the comedy sports. But yeah, we can update that next time we have you
Update
on.
it finally. I can give you something relevant. But yeah, so back to kind of the Alkenstar character. I think again we had the fun of getting to create it and. Or him rather, and I was first of all blown away with how fun that experience was, and how just in depth we were really able to go to kind of like put so much character into him.
Yeah, it was the number of options that they have available in Hero Forge are just mind-boggling. So now that you've put your character together, you know what your character looks like. We even have some character art that we sent your way that we got commissioned. So seeing your character, how do you go about figuring out their backstory, figuring out who they are as a person?
Well, knowing we've got kind of this like, and correct me if I'm wrong because I still need to do some of my homework on it. But like we've got, would Wild West be one way to describe it? More of like a Texasy, like desert plain kind of area. Would that be one way to describe it correctly?
That sounds about right. We've got Vanessa like there in the chat if she's still hanging out.
Course,
so
you know, Vanessa can obviously tell us a lot more about it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it's sort of.
I mean, so we went with that kind of understanding in creating this character. So, you know, like gun wielding, I think like pistol in hand, rifle on back, and then a guitar. Like just like dual wielding a rifle and a guitar is something that I think the funny thing about it is like we were back and forth on it and they were like, oh, it looks so cool, let's do it. And then for me, I just think that's really funny because it's like, okay, so talking about developing this character, it's like, you know, he looks kind of rough and tough, but like he's also carrying like a full blown guitar on his back. So it's like, I don't know. I still haven't landed on exactly what that's going to look like. And part of me wants to leave some of it up to whatever happens in the game. Mm-hmm. So I think part of it is just kind of like finding enough to live with and understand about the character. And then also like try to really let it organically grow.
Vanessa popped in and said that Alkenstar sits on a major river amidst the mana wastes, a scrub desert area where magic doesn't always work the way one might like. Very, quote, Wild West vibes.
Yeah, that Wild West definitely was, I think, what we were taking away a lot. And I think that's going to be fun. And so, yeah, the character's a dwarf. And I'm not sure, you know, with the Wild West, like if it's something accent-wise, like I do want to make a deliberate and big choice with that. So I don't know if it's something where I want to like really like kind of do a deep dive into having a more like Western American sounding character, or maybe doing something more classic for a dwarf or something like that. But again, I think part of it is waiting to just kind of see how we're going to be fitting into the story. A little bit of the level or the session zero that we do when we sit down, I think will influence that too.
And we've got the nice thing about playing a Pathfinder, a couple of nice things, is Pathfinder has just an extensive lore for the
Oh
area,
my
for the
gosh, it's
characters.
crazy, and it's so fun. It's so fun.
Have you had a moment? I just recently sent you the little player's guide for Alcazar. I don't know if you've even had time to look at it at all. But
I've looked at it. I just barely skimmed it. As you and I are between talking about our favorite TV shows and Pathfinder, I find that like we're probably chatting about so many things that I get a little lost in all of the things. But I did like open it and start looking at it specifically in kind of the mechanics of and a deeper dive into the type of character I want this dwarf to be.
yeah, those guys give you so much information about the kind of what story you're going to tell and what they recommend for even just what classes you should play, what races are well supported or ancestors are well supported, what feats you should take. 'Cause I was just thinking about even that guitar. The nice thing about Pathfinder is that you could take maybe a feat here and there. You could take an archetype as a bard, even if you decide somewhere down the line to put a little bit of your mechanic, because you have so many opportunities to build your character through feats, through your ancestry choices, through your archetype choices. So if you wanted to like do a little bard dip, like it's not necessarily going to, negatively affect your character as they go along. And because you have so many other opportunities to expand them. So that's something you can do mechanically to bring some of that other, end to the game. I don't know if you've thought about that at all or thought that far ahead.
I have, and I love that feats have such a big impact on character. That's something even in 5e, I tend to be a person who goes for feats rather than necessarily like trying to build up all my stat points and all that kind of stuff. But with this, of course, I would like having a guitar almost is like, well, definitely there's some bard in there. I almost always play some like half bard. I feel like so my like instinct is to try something new since we've got this just like beautiful story that's like built out for us, and I feel just like really excited and trusting to jump into it. So I'm gonna maybe use that. And now that we've played a few different games, Theo, I think I'm also wanting to take some risks
Yes.
because I think like I just feel so good about like the story itself and everything that's been written to take care of it, take care of us, and you guiding the way. I think is just going to be really fun. So while I obviously have a guitar, and it would be crazy not to say I don't, there's not a little bard in there. I'm probably going to push myself a little bit to like creatively have a reason to have that guitar that isn't just like gonna be a bard.
That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. Well, we're about the end of our half hour. You are welcome to stick around as we bring Vanessa in here and talk more about Alcastar if you have the time. I don't know if you want to stick around with us for a little while or if you've got.
I'd love to. Yeah, let's
Oh,
do it.
awesome. Well, before we bring Vanessa in, why don't we just sum up here? Where can folks find you? Where can they come out and see you perform? Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I'm performing at Comedy Sports, and Comedy Sports is downtown, right next to Minute Maid Park. And
Here,
we should have shows every Friday and Saturday
here in Houston.
here in Houston. And then in terms of music and stuff like that, if you just look up Benji Cooksey, you will find my stuff on Spotify, iTunes, and all that good stuff.
Awesome, buddy. Well, we're going to go on a quick little break here while I get the screen set up for two people in the chat. Wish me luck. Setting up Streamlabs is a bane to my existence. We're going to see what we do. But Benji, thank you. We'll come right back, okay?
Thank you, Thea. Love you, buddy.
I'll mute us on mic and we'll go to pause. All right, there we go. I got to fix up the screens a little bit, but we are back. Oh yeah, we're poking out of your boxes just a little bit. Vanessa, welcome.
Thank you. And congratulations on a successful Kickstarter. That's really exciting to get that done in less than an hour. That's impressive.
Thank you. We are not at all completely nervous and losing our minds here. That would be an inaccurate statement of what's going on. But we have our little kobolds. Oh, there's Rory. We have Rory down there.
I love him.
Thank
I love him
you.
so much.
We appreciate y'all. We can see our little, down in the corner there. Ben just still need to fix up your little window there. But you can kind of see our progress down there being guarded by our by Flick and Buckles and Rory.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
Let me see if I can fix up your boxes. Vanessa, you are the author of so many things for Paizo, for Pathfinder. You contributed to our Queer Finder supplement not that long ago. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about kind of the things that you've been working on for Paizo and Pathfinder?
Oh, goodness. So, of course, Outlaws of Alkenstar's first book, Punks in a Powder Keg, releases later this month, and I am so hype about it. It's very exciting. That was something that I sort of... sometimes I talk about writing and like I get these like bursts of productivity and I talk about like this magic week where I was able to do 15,000 words in a week, which is just unheard of. It's a ridiculous number of words. And that was actually Punks in a Powder Keg.
Oh, wow.
It was overdue. I was stressed out. My developer, Patrick Rennie, who's amazing, was like, "Yeah, you need to get me these pages." And I was like, "Okay, sure. I got a week left. I'm gonna get it done." And I just like fever dreamed the whole thing and got it out. So if as you were playing it, it seems like you might be in the middle of a fever dream, that's because that's exactly how I wrote it.
I think that sounds amazing.
That's so much to go with, and that's perfect. I can work with that all day long.
For folks that may not be familiar with it, why don't you tell us just a little bit about what the adventure's about?
Sure, absolutely. So you play an outlaw, sort of an anti-hero in this setting where, whether justly or not, you are wanted by the law. Specifically by some corrupt officials. There is a big business guy named Ambrose Mugland who is a jerk. He's a halfling, but he is a jerk. And he has paid off the local police, who's the shield marshals, not necessarily all of them, but certainly enough of them to get away with all sorts of schemes. And he's not interested in like power, just wealth. He just wants to, sell things. And so you've gotten under his radar or the radar of one of his highly trusted agents, whose name is Deputy Lovelace. And she's this like crack shot with a rifle elf who's just, she is stone cold. And so you've upset one of the two of them and you're on their radar. Now you end up being contacted by Phoebe Dunsmith. She's this adorable dwarf. She's so cool. And she's like, all right, so I got a proposition for you. If you want to get Mugland and you want to get Loveless, if you want to get them, you can work for me and we're going to get them. Like we're going to take them down. And it's really cool. So now you get to like work against these people that, as I said, like it could be that they legitimately or not, you did something wrong. Maybe you didn't. You're just like, hey, I was framed. But you get to get some revenge on them, which is pretty cool. And the whole adventure. So I've known having written some other adventures like Hand of the Devil for Abomination Vaults, which is also a 3-part adventure path, levels 1 through 10. And I wrote the middle part, which is very sandboxy and very like, when you play it, you create your own story as you go along. You're like, well, where do you want to explore? And can you find the story and what's happening? This is not that. This is definitely on the rails because there are 2 more, like think of it like a TV show. There are 2 more seasons of this show and we know what the plot's going to be. So you have to do all these things. However, it is like a fast paced sort of ride of like, okay, on to the next episode. There's more stuff to do. And it is constantly hitting you. So I think the timeline of this thing is to do like the whole first book within a week or 2 weeks or something. It is quick. Yeah.
So I've noticed with a lot of Pathfinder adventure paths that you all, like, each one brings some really unique ingredients to the table. Like, there's some new setting pieces, some new things that the characters get to do. And I know the adventure's not quite out yet. I don't have it. Benji better not have it. Benji, I hope you're taking notes over there, by the way, buddy.
I literally took notes.
Good.
I literally took notes, and I'm so excited.
I have to be really careful what I say since Benji's playing it, and I know some of you all out there are saying it, so I'll try to be as like spoiler light as I can. But there's a couple things I'm just so excited to finally get to talk about. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you
because my memory will immediately fleet, and I will live in the moment. But that's why I wrote literally just like deputy, sheriff, got it. Okay, like literally, my notes are terrible.
That's fine.
Are there any kind of cool set pieces or things that happen in this adventure that really excite you that are different than anything you've worked on before that you want to tease us about?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so without being spoiler, absolutely. You get to go to a location. I don't think we've ever been to one of those like that. I am going to say, because this was spoiled in the announcement of the Foundry integration that Paizo's having, Punks in a Powder Keg is one of the first adventures that's going to get that treatment for Foundry, which is like the Gold Star Platinum Deluxe treatment with sound effects and everything. And they showed a picture of a yeast ooze. I'm little spoiler. There's a monster called a yeast ooze in there. So if you have, I don't know, a bunch of beer that you're making and some yeast that helps the beer ferment, and you get alchemical components in there or something, maybe it turns into an ooze, and now it is both trying to kill you and get you drunk. I'm sure we all have friends that are just like that. Well, now you can fight it in the game. That is one thing that's out there that's just so cool. There are some set pieces. Oh my goodness, there is a fight. I'm trying not to spoil too much. There is a fight, and when I designed this like BBEGU fight, it is all mobile. It's a very skirmishy sort of bad guy. Like, a lot of first edition fights, it was a lot of like run up to them and then just stand there and beat at each other, for several rounds until someone finally falls down. This one's not. This one you will absolutely be using the full 3-action system in Pathfinder 2nd Edition that has made it just such a great system to, you're not going to be wondering, what do I do with my 3rd action if I've already attacked twice? You'll be moving. That's what you'll be doing. It's a very mobile fight. There's a lot of stuff happening, and I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out.
I feel like Pathfinder 2nd Edition has really tried to focus on having combat that's a lot more dynamic and moving around, doing away with like everybody having attacks of opportunities, so you never feel like that you can move. And so I love that about it. Everything is just much more fun and dynamic that way.
Yeah, I think people will be very pleased with the sort of variety of the different combats and the types of creatures you face. I got the opportunity to write some new monsters for this that appear in the adventure, and also therefore in the back of the book in the bestiary section in the back. And some of them are like I talked about the yeast ooze. There's another ooze that you'll face. So there's a couple new oozes. There's a bunch of new clockwork. So if you're, I've got over here, I've got like the steam dragon. Hello, steam dragon. There is not a steam dragon that I am aware of. However, this sort of high technology, like steampunky sort of technology, is all over Alkenstar. Awesome. And a lot of them use clockwork labor for various things, whether that's construction workers, where you're like, hey, clockwork, just make a bunch of 2x4s. And it's like, okay. And it has little buzzsaw arms, and it's just like cutting 2x4s. And then you can, have actual laborers like build a building. Well, some of them are used, clockworks are used for guards or all sorts of things. So you'll definitely be seeing a bunch of clockworks. I have my most koboldy Alkenstari inventor over here working on a clockwork dragon. She's not in the adventure, but this is a character I made for a one-shot when we were testing Guns and Gears, the latest Paizo supplement that really makes it possible to play this adventure path. It's so cool. I'm so excited.
I love that the adventure paths really do highlight a lot of the more recent books that have come out, source books. So, this one, Benji has your Dwarven Gunslinger, right? And Caleb will be playing an alchemist, which also I think is very well supported in this adventure. And the inventor class sounds like it's going to be one that will be a lot of fun to play in Alkenstar. Benji, I don't know if you have any questions as somebody who's making a character for this adventure. You don't often get to pick the brain of the creative minds behind it. So
it does feel a little bit like talking to God in terms of like how I want to build. I think, the one thing that I appreciate, I don't know what questions I have, but the one thing I appreciate is just like kind of like the encouragement to like, there's going to be things so deliberately there to move forward. And that's what I'm going to be keeping an eye out for, that to just kind of like go for it. And I love that style of play where it's just like, all right, we've got big action. So let's go for it.
There should be rarely a time, if ever, where you're sitting around as a party going, gee, we don't know what we're supposed to do next. Like, it will be clear. Like, you've got a direction, and it just, the adventure just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing to get you through the plot all the way to the end. And it's like, just a roller coaster ride from one stop to the next, with hopefully some really cool stuff along the way that you get to see and cool people to meet. And, yeah, definitely read the player's guide. There's some hints in there as to where the adventure is going.
It does.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It does sound like the adventure guide kind of teased that we're maybe starting off this rambunctious little train ride with a bit of a heist. Does that sound about right? You want Do you want to tease this idea?
Sure. So there's definitely a heist. We get you right into the outlaw action in typical Western flair. Geez, I kind of don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to. I'm going to say really quick, there is a sidebar that if you don't want the typical, like, all right, here's what you're going to do, partners, sort of start and like planning mode, then going in and doing it. There's a sidebar that gives you advice for starting right in the middle of the action. We are like, okay, so here you are robbing a bank. And things are going south, and you're like, wait, what? And then you could flash back to preparing if you wanted to. But that way you can just like get right into the action. But it does start with a good old-fashioned bank robbery, just like you might expect an old Western to do.
I love that. And that's, I think, talking earlier about character and stuff like that, I think what's really fun is getting an opportunity in those moments where you just start right in the middle is such a great way to just like, well, cool. Any questions you have about your character, why don't you just like, for me as an improviser and actor, it's like, you know what, I'm going to figure out who this character is right here based on what's being given. And I think that's a really fun opportunity. So that sounds like a blast.
Yeah, that's a really cool way to start it if you want to do it that way. The other thing that I think we mentioned, the 3 big classes that I think will have the most sort of thematic fun and feel like they fit into the world the best are the gunslinger, the alchemist, and the inventor. And the alchemist is a core class, but the inventor and the gunslinger both appear in Guns and Gears, and they all fit Alkenstar basically perfectly and fit this adventure specifically really very well. There is a bit of history. I'm going to go into Alkenstar history really fast. Alkenstar exists because these 2 nations, next to the north and Geb to the south, decided to just war against each other relentlessly with magic and all sorts of stuff, because they're very magical nations, to the point where they created this zone of like this no man's land called the Mana Wastes. And I wouldn't say it's magically dead. There are things that say that. It's magically unstable. So there's a lot of spots where magic just doesn't work. Or suddenly that spell that you tried to cast 3 times earlier just all comes out at once because, hey, you got your connection to magic back. Boom, they all go off. Let's hope they weren't fireballs. And so it's really unreliable. And one of the things that the folks there did is they have developed technology in order to compensate and sort of keep up with the rest of the world and what they can do. So that's why we have guns. That's why we have clockwork. That's why we have all airships. You want a big dirigible to fly around in? Alkenstar's got them. And that's where all of this stuff came out in the world of Galarian. It's because they don't have magic as something to rely on. That's not a form of technology, for a better term, that they can use. So they've got all these other things. Well, in first edition, it was very much like half of the city didn't have magic and half of it did, and then but maybe there were surges, so it was still kind of unpredictable. For second edition, I think they softened it a little, made it a little easier to play with, especially if you're coming to this and you're like, but what if I want to play like a gun mage who like uses magic and a gun and I shoot spells out of it and stuff? I'm like, that's really cool. Mm-hmm. So in order to allow those sorts of characters to exist in the world, they basically said, okay, here's the deal. Assume that while you're in Alkenstar city limits, magic works normally. Like they've stabilized it, they've gotten it so that at least in this city, magic now works fine. There are some additional suggested rules if you want that you can play with and stuff that's like in Secrets of Magic, where maybe magic is still unpredictable if you want to play with that in your game. And you will, before the end of this adventure path, be in the Mana Wastes, experiencing what this dangerous wild magic might be. So you get all of that. However, if you decided that you really want to, you're like, no, we want to play with the pure like flavor of this place and play with 0 magic users at all whatsoever, you absolutely can. Because Pathfinder 2nd Edition allows you to use alchemy to heal, the medicine skill to heal. You've got all sorts of ways to be like, we're going to be a completely non-magical party because we're an Alkenstar, and you can do it. And I also wrote this adventure path. I think there's like there's magic items, but there's like one magical effect. Almost everything else is non-magical, specifically for groups that want to experience it that way.
That's really cool. I hadn't thought about it that way at all. Like being able to play an entirely non-magical group. Because you always try to diversify and have we got to have a cleric, we got to have a wizard. I was also going to ask you, and by the way, if anybody in the audience there has any questions for Vanessa or Benji, please drop them into the comment section there. Let me turn on my multi-stream because we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're everywhere.
Multi-stream.
Yes, I think if I click the right buttons. Oh, Jonathan Yee says congratulations. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
But I was gonna we here at the Gallant Goblin have a special relationship with gnolls. And I noticed that gnolls is one of the recommended ancestries for this adventure. And I wondered if you could touch just a little bit on what roles gnoll play in the adventure. Because I had this in my mind, the idea of a gnoll witch player in this one, and if that would be fun. So I was going to ask you about that.
Sure. So there are definitely gnolls in this adventure. And without spoiling it, playing a gnoll is complicated. Like we have, I think, all learned at this point, there is no one ancestry, no one species that is like de facto bad, evil, right? It takes all types. However, there are a lot of gnolls that happen to be doing bad things in the area, giving gnolls a little bit of a bad reputation. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind, depending on how much your GM wants to play that up or not. But there are some gnolls that you will absolutely run into in this adventure. And very likely in future adventures. I haven't seen all of the finished products for Adventures 2 and 3, but if my memory serves from looking at the original outline, there are definitely gnolls across the adventure. So gnolls would be cool.
I get to see that being a very cool character to play. And Benji, we got to talk somebody into being an adventure too. So.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Theo, I feel like you were maybe encouraging me also to play like a cactus character.
That was Vanessa's idea.
A cactus leshy.
Yes.
A leshy. Yeah, a leshy.
Yeah. So there's these things called leshies, which are like plant people that are just adorable. And they're like, even when they're vicious, they're still adorable. Right. And there's cactus leshies. You could be a cacti leshy. That would be perfect. That would be super cool.
And maybe, we were talking about that too. So I think that's still like maybe in the works. I don't know how yet, but I think that was maybe one of my first favorite things I saw was like, oh man, to have this like Wild West feel and be a cactus person is a hilarious and awesome way to jump into this.
And I will point out that we are going to try to do some different sort of things with this little actual play that we're doing for Alkenstar. And so just a peek behind the scenes, I'm encouraging Benji and our other players to go ahead and create these backup characters who are going to pre-exist in the universe. Maybe nothing bad ever happens to your gunslinger. Maybe your dwarven Duganhold gunslinger lives forever, but we're also going to have another character in this universe, maybe telling some side stories that Grady and I kind of put together to kind of flesh these out. So, you get to start thinking about your little prickly little cactus leshy if you want to. And we're going to...
Already have been.
And we are going to try to bring in some people from the community. So Vanessa, if you want to come, do a little one shot with us, and we'll have a little place at the table for you. We're going to try to bring some folks in to there's a lot of cool NPCs, and I imagine a lot of opportunities for little side missions that we could branch off from this adventure. If it's
I
anything
know
like
a kobold kobold inventor who would want to come. So.
Oh, we will have to set this up, absolutely. So yeah, there's opportunities here for a lot of character studies. So I'm really looking forward to that. But it would be remiss of me not to ask you too, because you mentioned working on Abomination Vaults earlier.
Oh yeah.
And they recently announced, Pfizer announced that they're making Abomination Vaults for Dungeons and Dragons 5e. And I wondered if you are contributing to that. Do you have any say in as they transition that, or what do you think about it?
I don't. Once I finish written the adventure and turn it over to Paizo, it's in their hands. But I do have some opinions, and they are all good. So yeah. I'm actually really happy that they're moving this into 5th edition. I think it's a really good opportunity to sort of show off all of the fantastic adventures. And I'm not just tuning my own horn. I feel like I am sandwiched between James Jacobs, who wrote the first part of Abomination Vaults, and Stephen Randy McFarlane, who wrote the third, who are just titans in our tabletop RPG space. And here's me in the center going, okay, I read the middle part. And I think it's a good idea to take this adventure that has been very well received by all sorts of folks and say, hey, you know what, let's just show 5th edition players what we can do vis-a-vis our adventures. And then also they'll get a bit of the Golarian setting, which is a very rich setting indeed, that they can sink their teeth into. I also think it'll be a different experience for a lot of 5th edition players. I've played a little bit of 5th edition, but I haven't run it. My understanding is that for GMs, the adventures are very, they're like a skeletal adventure, right? Not that they're skeletons, but there might be. But that it's like, here's the scaffolding to put the adventure on, and here's some things that you might want to include in those other spots. I have like clouds overhead. I'm standing under a giant skylight. My camera keeps fluctuating. But like that they have, the scaffolding to build sort of their own tables version of the adventure on, which I think is super cool. And there's definitely always room for a GM to make an adventure their own. But I think also from what I'm hearing from other 5th edition adventurers is that sometimes it is really difficult to fill in those gaps if you're just not quite sure. And Pathfinder adventures already have all the gaps filled in for you. And if you want to modify it, sure, do whatever you want. But there's just a lot of like, hey, here's everything on a platter ready for you to go. You don't have to homebrew anything if you don't want to. Have at it. And so I think that's really exciting to see what their reaction's going to be and for them to get their hands on it.
I love that too. And I was going to say, Benji is currently playing Troubles in Otari with us, which is sort of an adventure that sort of leads up to Abomination Vaults. And so folks maybe aren't familiar with Abomination Vaults and what the story is. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about what the adventure is?
Oh, sure. Abomination Vaults. Abomination Vaults is this sleepy little town of Otari. And everyone there knows about these ancient local heroes that made Otari possible. The Rose Guard, they're fantastic ancient heroes from a couple hundred years ago. In fact, some of their descendants still live in town. And they stopped this horrible sorcerer named Belcora, who's absolutely been dead for hundreds of years, who was in this place called the Gauntlight, which is this lighthouse that's, an hour walk from town. And they, she was trying to take over Absalom and do all this bad stuff because Absalom, this major city, is pretty close, is maybe a day's travel away. So, she was going to do all this bad stuff out here, and they stopped her. They're great. Well, the Abomination Vaults is that, did they really stop her? Did they do enough? And what is still left to do? So, through Abomination Vaults, you find out that the little lighthouse that's out there is just the surface of the dungeon. There is more that meets the eye in this place, and as you explore, you get more and more of the story, not only of these heroes that came before you, but what happened to them. And the fact is, and a small spoiler alert, but there's like a ghost lady on the front. Belcora ain't totally dead, right? She died, but she ain't gone. And so there's still plenty of adventure left. And now the heroes get to be the new heroes of Otari and the new Rose Guard. And it's pretty cool.
And it seems to me, I haven't been able to read through the entire adventure, but it seems more of a kind of a little bit more a classic dungeon delvey adventure. Is that the way you describe it?
Absolutely. Especially if you have heard of or played Temple of Elemental Evil or any of these classic adventures that are like, there's a small town that happens to have a dungeon under it. That is exactly what it is designed as and how it plays out, where you really get to know a lot of the folks in town, a lot of the major players. There's like an election happening, and you could influence that if you wanted to. I heard of one table where someone decided to run and like win the election, which is kind of fun. So there's all sorts of stuff happening in this town, but there's also this huge dungeon crawl dungeon underneath, and it is definitely a dungeon crawl, like mega dungeon type adventure. One of the differences from the classic ones, though, whereas classic dungeon crawls were very much like, anyway, so there's orcs in here, and there's a devil in that room, and we don't really explain why. They just, they are. Anyway, roll initiative. In this, myself and the other authors have done a great job, and honestly, the Paizo developers who put this all together have done a great job of molding all these intricate storylines together, and everything that is in the dungeon is there for a reason and has a backstory and like a reason that it exists there now, and what has changed over the several hundred years since it was an active dungeon, an active place. Now that it's basically forgotten by the sands of time, other gross things have moved in, and like, what are they doing there? And they all have motivations and reasons too. Also, there's a concert. But like, don't worry about it. There's a concert somewhere in there. If you play it, you'll see it.
I love that y'all have made onboarding to Pathfinder so much. Like, there's a direct path now to get into Pathfinder. You can get the beginner box, which is which is a Menace under Atari, I think it's called, and then you can roll into Troubles in Otari. And this is kind of, Benji, how we brought you into the Pathfinder universe. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you hadn't played Pathfinder up until we got you on around the game table, right?
I had not, and in fact, just listening to Vanessa explain everything, I'm so thankful that we've done that now, because like we use that as our testing ground to learn the game too, and like at least basic mechanics. And so like getting ready to pour into Alkenstar and everything we're doing, I'm just like thinking about how excited I am that we've got a little bit I got that experience under my belt to jump in and really just like jump into these worlds and have a great time.
How have you found this intro adventure, Troubles in Otari, where you're just going in and clearing out this fishery, kind of getting your toes wet? Like, how have you found that so far?
I've had a blast, and I think a lot of it, you picked such a fun crew, and I think first of all, like the vibe of our entire crew has just been so fun, and like naturally the kind of way we developed character relationships early made for so much fun with it. And then just kind of the ridiculousness that's happened within just like the social dynamic of the party has mixed so well with kind of all the things that's happened in Otari. I've just absolutely loved it.
Vanessa, I think you'd appreciate probably the most dramatic moment of our adventure so far has been a dinner party.
Oh my goodness. Right? That's fantastic. No, that's good. You want it to be an exciting moment. Yeah, no, dinner parties are great. Definitely more dinner parties in adventures. I'm here for it.
It was really big hype, and it delivered too. So I was pretty excited about that.
The axes did come out. Tables got split. There were tears.
Oh my gosh!
There were people.
Father figures were had and confused.
More than one, possibly father figure. There was father figure versus father figure action going on in this particular adventure.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
That gives me more than one mental picture, and I'm not sure which one I like the best.
There you go.
They're all great.
Vanessa, what else have you been working on lately? I know you probably can't tell us too much, but I'm curious if you have any teasers about what's to come.
Oh my goodness. I can't tell you about anything that has not been announced that I'm still under NDA for, but I can tell you about personal projects because that's all up to me. So I've been writing a series called Vellum and Lace. Mm-hmm. It is an episodic piece of fiction. So there are, well, not episodic, it is a serialized, is what I want to say, a serialized fiction where there are episodes that release every month when we get our deadlines intact, which is all my fault. I write with Helen Savor. Helen is an amazing writing partner, and she's really good. I could gush about Helen for 30 minutes, but I won't unless you really want me to. But it's about these two sisters who live in Absalom, this giant city that we talked about with the gold box there. And they live there and they get into shenanigans and all sorts of stuff. One of the recent episodes was number 5, I think, was about a jailbreak, a literal like Pathfinder adventure. Let's break someone out of prison sort of adventure that It goes about as well as they do when you're sitting at the tabletop. And it's just been a blast talking about these two sisters and their relationship and all the shenanigans that they get into. So.
Oh, and they there's a bit of a cameo in the article you wrote for Queer Finder for us. And
yeah.
I absolutely adore the little story you wrote for Queer Finder, issue 1, which took place in Absalom. I was wondering if you could kind of tell us a little bit about that for folks maybe who haven't picked up issue 1 and seen it yet.
Sure.
That one, it felt very personal. It felt very heartfelt. And if you just tell us a little bit about it, if you don't mind.
Sure. So it's called the Festival of Mirrors, and I know that Queer Finder was sort of shuffling around what the festival episode was going to be, but I wanted to get it out there for sort of the winter time or the tail end of, because it is a winter festival that the Temple of Arshay has. Arshay is like a small goddess, an imperial lord, which is like a little demigoddess almost, and they have and they're all about like freedom and sexuality and like the freedom of expression, and the freedom of beauty, right? The beauty isn't any one thing. And neither is sexuality, neither is gender, neither is all these things. And it's like the queerest deity that ever queered. And they're amazing. They're fantastic. They're, and myself as a transgender person and feel very strongly about this deity in the setting. And so I wanted to write a festival of theirs where people were celebrating, sort of becoming who they really wanted to be. And for me, that has a very sort of trans story. For a lot of people it does, but it can also have like body image implications and things. A lot of folks dealing with body dysmorphia and are like, oh, this is not how I want to exist in a physical form. And the Festival of Mirrors is a chance for all those people to really see themselves the way they want to be seen. And so there are these giant ice walls, these magical walls of ice that reflect back at you, sort of like, I want to say your true self, but that's kind of cheesy and overused, but essentially your self-image, right? So we've all seen The Matrix. It's like residual self-image. It's the way you see yourself, and that's, or your ideal self, and that is exactly what you see in the mirror. And sometimes it's just a little different. Sometimes it's significantly different. And then they offer you these little elixirs, specifically not potions for a reason. I can get into that, but these little elixirs that will transform you for a period of time, for about 8 hours, long enough to enjoy the party, to be able to go to sleep in that form and just, be at peace. And if it's something that you enjoyed and want long term, like the temple has ways of helping you make, and like there's people that have like that look completely different. There's one half orc that just gets like a little bit longer tusk and is like, yeah, okay, now I'm good. I just want a little longer on the tusk and I'm cool. And yeah, because the change is different for everyone.
Of course.
And anyway, so it's written in first person from one of the servers at this party, one of the little acolytes, and their name is Jack, and sort of their reaction to everything. And there is a little cameo from our Vellum and Lace duo, Lonnie and Jellica, and they show up, not named, but they show up in there just to interact with Jack and sort of have a moment in the story as well. So.
Oh, I just love it so much.
That's awesome.
I do hope you'll come back and contribute more to future issues of Queer Finder.
Sure.
I was talking to Aaron Shanks over there, and PaizoCon is coming up. I don't know if you're planning to attend PaizoCon this year.
I am 100% going to attend PaizoCon.
Okay, excellent. Because we were talking like if there's any chance that we could get issue 2 ready for a PaizoCon launch. It's going to be crunch time, and we don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to happen because there's a lot of moving parts there. But we would love to be able to kind of launch, or at least get ready to launch around PaizoCon time, and maybe just bring some Queer Finder energy. We have our little Queer Finder, little kind of Wayfindery pen here that we've kind of put together, so we need to figure out what we're going to do with these. But we'd love to be able to do that. You got one of those there. There you go. Love our little Queer Finder thing.
It's so cool. It's so neat. So
we would love to bring that into PaizoCon. But I want to ask Benji, we're about to wrap up. Is there anything you thought about that you want to ask about Alkenstar as you get your character ready to adventure in the Wild West?
It's so much pressure.
I know.
I'm not smart enough to ask right questions. But I think I just want to say, Vanessa, thank you so much for coming on. And it's great to meet you. And I'm just so excited to play, and I hope that we honor everything you've put together. And I think Thea's put together a good group. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much for saying that, and I wish you luck with the comedy sports. We used to play that back in high school, and it was a ton of fun back then. So
rock on, yeah, that's the same. That's how I got started, was in high school. So that's
very cool.
Really awesome to hear.
My high school didn't have anything fun. We had debate club and extemporaneous speaking. We didn't have any of this. I know.
Hey, I got some debate teachers who would be upset if you said that.
Debate was great, but I don't think it was quite to the level of comedy sports, because Caleb Bartholomew, who's also going to be one of our players, also started in high school, and so I'm just so jealous that I didn't get that opportunity, but I'm getting it now. We're starting our level 3 class at the end of May, and I'm so excited to get in there for that. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Benji, thank you for putting all that together for us. I know there's a lot of folks in town who've really benefited from it. There's plenty of people who come in too who just want to get a little bit better at presenting themselves and kind of getting over their insecurities. Yeah. And so it's not all about, just becoming an improv star like you. A lot of us is kind of, becoming a little bit more of what they imagine themselves to be, as kind of Vanessa alluded to a little while ago.
There you go.
Yeah, so. I completely agree. I think, my goal in running the school and the kind of gift that I've been giving to have an intro to improv is like, it is, there is so much about it that is improv, but what my goal is really to just create a safe place for anyone to feel like they can come in and give this a shot in a place that we've created to have that vulnerability and take those chances. And my goal is always to facilitate that in a way that's welcoming to everybody. So I'm so glad to hear it, and it's led to so many great relationships and doing things like this today. So just thankful every day.
I love you both so much. Vanessa, can you tell us where, if folks want to find everything you're working on, find Velma Lace, where can they find you?
Oh, sure. The best place is probably in the Twitterverse. You can contact me directly at NinjaCatVanessa, Vanessa. And Vellum and Lace, all spelled out, is also on Twitter if you want to find out when our latest episodes are or get links to go purchase it on Pathfinder Infinite. Those are all there as well. I
just realized I misspelled Vanessa in that little overlay underneath you. I got your name right, and then I got your Twitter handle wrong.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry.
I didn't look at it, but there it is. Oh, yeah, no, that is incorrect. Vanessa.
Well, I am so sorry about that.
Vanessa.
I tried to put all this together in the past day or two when we were just freaking out on everything.
No, it's totally understandable. You have a big Kickstarter, which is already at like $5,600 out of a $4,000 goal. That is so good.
Thank you so much. We were very excited. We've got 74 people who are signed up. We're going to, as soon as this wraps up, I'm going to go grab a quick lunch, and we're going to go be with Mr. Stephen Glicker and Mark Sifter. Is it Sifter or Sifter?
Vanessa.
Sifter. Okay, that's what I thought. I said it wrong once, and then I got corrected, and then I got confused, and then I got scared to say it out loud again. Mark Sifter.
I'm sure he does a great job of sorting out small particulate matter, but it is not his name.
So we're going to go there in about half an hour or 20 minutes now. But again, thank you guys both of you for joining us today. We're so excited for Alchenstar. I signed my NDA yesterday to hopefully get my hands on the adventure. I'm hoping they'll get an email in the next day or so I can start reading through it. But we are super, super excited. I don't think I've ever been so excited for an adventure to come out. So thank you.
It is pretty cool. And can I just, one last thing, it's like not really a spoiler, but one last thing. In that bestiary that I talked about, you've heard of the prairie dog, right?
Yeah.
Well, prairie dogs are like apex creatures in their environment, and they help out all these other creatures. But if you're an Alchenstar, you don't want a prairie dog. You want a prairie dragon. Prairie drake? I don't know. You'll find out.
I'm listening. I'm excited. We need some more little pets for our little ranger over here, our little rogue. So
sure.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you both so much for joining today. And the folks in the audience, thank you for tuning into our little live stream today. So great. Y'all made me feel a lot better about this launch. I was so nervous, and I'm so glad it's doing well. I'm going to go offline for 15 minutes and grab some lunch, and then we'll see you over on the Roll for Combat live site, where we're talking about miniatures and gaming, which is where my passion is too. So thank you all. And any last words before we sign off?
Go buy more kobolds.
Yeah, buy lots of kobolds.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you next time at the Gallant Goblin. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye. And bye-bye.
Oh.
And there we